So county cricket round 3, Rich, we've done a round 1, a round 2, we're into round 3, and now we're starting to see the winners and losers kind of pulling away or who's trying to find a little bit of form. But some interesting, really, really interesting historical games of cricket.
Yes, lots and lots to get teeth into, mate. So we'll try and do it as quick as we can. We know you're all busy people. But first off, let's just get a couple of England things out of the way. Jimmy Anderson was supposed to be suiting up for Lancashire, but he missed out due to a little bit of a calf strain. We know all about those.
Again, yeah.
For not, Stuart Broad was rested, whilst Ollie Stones for Warwickshire, he was able to play. So obviously your batters, England batters, they're all allowed to play at the moment. But bowling, it's always quite interesting to see who's been told to put his feet up and who's been told he can carry on going through. So sensible for Broad. Obviously, all points for him to be available and playing in that first Test match. So shall we crack on with Group 1, Rob?
Yeah, Essex and Warwickshire.
Yeah, big win here. Warwickshire. So they followed that excellent win in round 2 against Notts by inflicting a first defeat on Essex in 2 years. Wow. It was only decided at 6:10 on the final evening as well, with just 8 deliveries remaining of the match. Nail biter. This is what we're talking about with county cricket at the moment. It's not just, sedate, steady old cricket. This is proper stuff. It's fantastic. Rob Yates, an outstanding 120 off 231 balls from him, helped them record the win. I think we're seeing a much more resilient Warwickshire side, Rob, starting to find the feet under Mark Robinson. And they do sit at the top of Group 1 at the halfway point. So Warwickshire winning by 7 wickets. What do you want to pull out of that?
I want to praise Warwickshire because they are showing amazing abilities so far. They almost, they beat Nottinghamshire coming back and getting 333 for 7. Runs all the way up and down the order. And their bowling attack is outperforming what we thought it would be. They've bowled a team for under 200 twice, a team for under 250 once, 2 scores under 275, and no one scored more than 295 against them. It's a really, really solid attack, or a solid batting lineup who's ably supported through having a little bit of depth and a little bit of wag of the tail. The one thing I watched, and I watched quite a lot of it on that first day, was Ollie Stone was outstanding and stood out. He was aggressive, he was fast, he was celebrating hard, and it really meant something when he's getting people out. And to me, watching the guys bowling, he was another level.
Yeah, this is where just reading scorecards can trick you, isn't it? Because you look at a 4 for 89 and you think, he's played pretty well, and 2 for 65 in the second innings. But he's bowled a lot of overs. And you have to look at what he's doing, isn't it? How many times have we bowled where you've bowled well, but you've not took the wickets, or you've gone for a few extra runs? How many of those runs have been edges through slip or mistimed hits, etc.? So, yeah, he's bowling with gas at the moment, isn't he? And he's putting himself in the frame for that, that conversation. There's a lot of pressure on who will be being picked for that. So there's pressure on the selectors, but there's pressure on the bowlers as well to keep these performances going. But he's certainly putting himself forward, isn't he?
He has, it was brilliant. Yeah, his wickets of Browne and Walter came just after tea on day 1 when they were 190 for 3. He got Browne nicked off and then bounced out Walter. Completely changed the game at that point because Essex had put on near on 100 for that wicket, and that was superb. And you could look at it and you could say Danny Briggs down the order for Warwickshire. 66, grounded out past the end of the day and into the next day in that first innings for Warwickshire. Just sublime, but it's grit, it's hard, it's county cricket, and it's good county cricket, and it's a team that's starting to learn what they need to do to win, mate.
Big time. And obviously, as we spoke about, if you on the audio podcast, Dom Sibley was missing, so Warwickshire were a main man down again this week. So Simon Harmer got himself 82 not out, along with 4 wickets in the first innings, which is quite interesting, but wicketless in the 4th innings. But Warwickshire, they were set a target of 256, which they got for just 3 wickets. Down, and as we said, 120 for Rob Yates, and Sam Hain, we spoke about, 60. Quick England watch. Dan Lawrence got himself 55 in Essex's second innings. He's not scored a heck of a lot of runs to start the season off. He's certainly not at the top of the rankings, but he's doing just about enough, I think, to make sure he's got his eye in.
Yeah, I think he'll kick himself a bit, to be honest, mate. First innings, he was caught at mid-wicket, which is not a great way to get out, just whipping one straight at mid-wicket. But when he was run out for 55, it was his call. We dropped the ball at his feet. I say at his feet, it kind of rolled towards mid-on, and he called him through, and he was run out by a couple of yards. So he's only got himself to blame. But Rob Yates' 120 to win the game, mate, was brilliant, and he needed it because it's his second century. But he'd just gone 0-0-2-4 or something like that. Again, we're talking phone numbers. So he needed an innings, and everyone else just kind of batted around him. He just batted time and kept batting and batting and batting, picked it up off his legs real nice, put it through cover nice, but just dogged, gritty, not going at an 80 strike rate, just 40, 50, acquiring runs, batting time. And before you know it, you've got these partnerships going. And then it becomes a reality that, you know what, we're going to go and knock off 250 and 80 overs. This is amazing.
Yeah, top effort. I'm sure Warwickshire fans will be delighted with that one. So Durham, Derbyshire, drawn game also in Group 1, obviously. Durham, so they worked really hard to get that first win of the season, but Wayne Madsen back in form, and Matt Critchley, possibly the most informed cricketer, all-round cricketer in county cricket at the moment. They both made life tough for the Durham attack, who couldn't make that final breakthrough. So that derby, they were removed shortly before the new ball was taken on the final evening, but Harvey Hussain, who scored a few runs, the wicketkeeper, and Brooke Guest saw Derbyshire over the line for the draw. Big one in the overseas player for Durham. He got himself 257 in the first innings of 475 for Durham. He's the first player ever to score 300 runs in a match for Durham.
To get 257 and only one of the guys past 40 in the innings is exceptional performance for a man that's having an exceptional year. He's scoring runs like they're going out of fashion. 565 runs at 141 so far for the ex-Plumtree Nottinghamshire guy. In fact, I went on to his...
Did you confirm it?
I went on to the Plumtree Play Cricket website and had a look at his stats. Last played in, I think it was 2019, 4 half centuries, but nothing to write or sing about. But he's absolutely brilliant. And again, just a good performance. And Durham are being everything we expected them to be. Chris Rushworth at the top, taking he rolled the top 3.
6.
really, really, really easy, actually, to be fair. And it's an interesting one because everyone that you look at, you go, I need them to do well for England. I need them to do well. It's happening. Critchley is starting to be talked around on Sky Sports, and he's going out here. He's got 449 runs at 74, a strike rate of 60, 13 wickets at 28. We're talking who is going to replace a Ben Stokes. Maybe, or maybe he's just a good enough batter.
This is the thing, isn't it, with Matt Critchley? I mean, like you say, he's 24, so he bowls leg spin as well. So if England decided early season that they didn't need that frontline spinner, you could potentially, there's an argument to be made that you could back Critchley at, say, 6, for example. He bats 5 for Derbyshire. 5 or 6, with however you want to shake it with him and Ollie Pope. You've got Root that can bowl and you've got Critchley that can bowl. So you've still got 2 spinners in the side that can do it. And Root's bowled a fair amount, hasn't he, over the last 6 to 12 months. So there's definitely an argument for that. But there's also an argument to say, can he bat in that top 6 anyway? He's the 3rd highest run scorer so far in the county championship, behind, which I believe, Adam Lyve and Beddingham. So he's, no disrespect to Adam Lyve, but I would say he's the highest run scoring selectable England player. So we are going to be watching this guy with great interest going forward. He's averaging 32 as a career so far. I think that's an increasing average. And he's averaging bowling-wise 42. But for this season, I think he's averaging 28. An economy of 3.26. So economy of over 4 in his career. So it's definitely all going in the right direction with him. And if this continues, who knows what sort of player we'll have. If he was playing for another county, let's say a Surrey or a Lancashire or a Yorkshire, would we even be thinking he might not be able to play? Would we just be going, this guy has to play?
Quite possibly. Maybe put a Yorkshire into that conversation somewhere along the line. I think you're looking strong. The only reason I say maybe not is because Rory Burns scored so prolifically for years and really had to earn that opening spot. And another takeout for me from this, Rich, is Derbyshire's resiliency under pressure. They're potentially one of the weaker sides in the division. And to get a result like this, to pull out a draw chasing 384 in 97 overs, 5 wickets down, is fantastic. That's a really, really good position for them to put themselves in and just show a little bit more fight than what you might have seen previous seasons.
Big time. Yeah, one to watch for sure, and we'll hope that he keeps performing. With the ball, that was probably his least impressive performance statistically. of the season. So, he's still doing pretty good. Worcestershire, we're over to New Road, drawn game between Worcester and Notts. Do you like centuries? Do you like century opening partnerships?
Oh, I love them.
Do you like runs everywhere from people that either play for Notts or used to play for Notts?
Oh, mate, can't think of anything better.
This was the game. So basically, we've got a situation. Worcester put on a big first innings score. Libby, ex-Notts, he got himself 117. Just quickly on this one, Worcester to 140 for 1. They then collapsed to 217 for 7. And then at number 8, Ed Barnard, 58. Alzari Joseph, 61. Joe Leach, 84. And then Morris, number 11, was 10 not out of 67 balls. Notts.
Yeah.
This is why you're not winning games of cricket. But anyway, so after that, Notts, they didn't get a big score, 276. So they were forced to follow on. But Haseeb Hameed, his first century for Notts, and this guy has been looking really good. Obviously, he played for England, didn't he? I think he played about 8 games for England. No, yeah. Was it 6? I can't remember. A handful of games for England anyway. Did pretty well. He lost his way, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's moved to Notts. Last summer, he had a pretty good summer, but it was a bit of a tough one. But he's got his first 100. And then, like a London bus, the second century pops up in the second innings, where Notts were 236 for none following on. Ben Slater with 114 not out as well. Haseeb Hameed, 114 not out, 111 in the game. 635 balls he faced in the match, which is a record county championship. In the county championship, beat the previous record by Jamie Cox for Somerset versus Hampshire back in 1999. So I think that's a very good timing for him to decide he wants to score a couple of centuries in a game with those questions we spoke about earlier at the top of the England order. I don't want to get carried away here, but his average is 43 for England in those that short period he did play. So just saying.
And the weight of runs has changed through going to a group system. To me, whereas before you go, I scored Division 1 runs or I scored Division 2 runs, it doesn't feel like there's that conversation anymore. So these are all good runs. And the thing you forget about Hameed, he's 24 years old.
Exactly.
Not even 24 and a half, mate.
Yeah.
And one thing that noted on the 24, it's only his 7th first-class century, that second one. 7. So that's how early he was thrust into that pressure cooker situation, and now we're starting to see someone that's good enough, and he's fought his way back. In his last 3 innings is 53, 111, 114, and this could be the year. And also 845 balls faced, the most in county cricket this year.
Yeah, can't question his technique there, can we, if he's facing that many deliveries? And just coming back on that point briefly that you made about when we were talking about Matt Critchley, Rory Burns, he was probably not selected for such a long period of time because of such a strange technique.
Yeah.
I think they want people to score runs, but in the right manner. Haseeb Hameed is a technically excellent player and a steady player as well. So we can give you that. Obviously, facing that amount of balls, obviously he's steady. He's not going to break the bank or break the record with strike rate, is he? But he'll certainly occupy the crease and allow teams to build around him. He needs to go on and score more runs. It's as simple as that. He can't just do this and think he's got a chance. And I'm sure he's not even thinking about England at the moment, or maybe just a little bit in the back of his mind. But he's got to keep scoring runs. Simple as that. Quick one in England watch. Jake Ball, he got injured, I believe, in the first game. He's going to miss more time now with a back injury. It's really frustrating for him because he had a great 2020. Got back in England, set up, wintered with England, didn't he, as well? So this is a real tough break for the local lad. So we hope he gets back to fitness soon and he can start pushing his claim with all these other seamers in county cricket seemingly trying to sprint away from him.
Yeah. The other shout out we should give around this is Jake Libby returning against Notts.
Yes.
Scoring it was a fabulous 100, untroubled, fluent, in great form. Another opener scoring centuries, mate, and scoring runs for fun. 318 runs on the season at the top of the order. In a difficult group where you've got Warwickshire's bowling attack, you've got Essex's bowling attack, and facing someone like Simon Harmer and scoring runs, the amount he was turning it in the game that he played this week was phenomenal. That's brilliant. Kind of, okay, we're getting ready for India coming.
It's good that we're seeing these spinners, but yeah, it's a little bit worrying where we're, after the winter pitches that we spoke about, or you certainly spoke about and got a bit of attention for, that we're preparing pitches that turn nicely. So, one good point I've just need to quickly make on that, actually, we're seeing runs, we're seeing spinners. Those great guys on Sky Sports, your David Lloyd, your Atherton, Nass, etc., and Rob Key. Rob Key's good at that stuff. Saw him make 100 against West Indies at the Oval. There you go. That's my Rob Key story. Out of the way, done. Never have to speak about it again. Sunny day. It's good. Against New Zealand? No, it wasn't against New Zealand. West Indies, I said. Yeah, that's it. Keysy. Anyway, they made the point that because of this system now with 3 groups, we don't have relegation. Their question was that are the pitches actually being prepared a little bit better, so they're actually more competitive pitches rather than batting paradises that we can bat out a nice draw for over 4 days. We can, there have been some draws, don't get me wrong, but it does seem like there's more result cricket and there's more in it for the spinners early doors.
Yeah, I don't know what's causing it, but there is a definite change in shift of general English 75-mile-an-hour seamer rolling through a team 6 for 20 every single week. So I don't know what's changed it, but it does feel, watching the games, it feels like everyone wants to win. And I don't know whether that's because it's more online. Every game is being publicized and there's new, selection theories and strategies in place. You're being watched every game now. That it never used to be like that. So if you're a county, you get money from the ECB, but you don't have to play the player's contract if they go on and get an English centralized contract, e.g., saving you a whole heap of cash and potentially more people watching your games because you've got good players playing and being more successful. So I don't know. It feels like it's a little bit more incentivized than it used to be because of technology.
It'll be interesting to see how it continues anyway, but it does certainly seem that there has been a bit of a change in mentality. And as everybody knows that plays sport, there is a huge difference in trying to win a game versus trying not to lose a game.
Yeah.
And that might be a little bit of what we're seeing. So let's have a look at the table then. Warwickshire are clear out on top, 53 points with 2 wins and a draw. Worcestershire in second on 41, 3 draws from their 3 games. Essex have got 1 in each column and they're 37 points. Derbyshire are also on 37, but they have only drawn the 3 games rather than the win that Essex has. And Durham and Notts are bottom 32 and 30, winless so far. Kind of almost how we're expecting it. Warwickshire and Essex were my 2 for the top 2 spots, so it's starting to certainly get a little bit of how it probably should look.
Yep, I agree, mate. I just feel like there are upsets to be had in this division. I don't think Notts are as bad as what their record is saying.
No,
Durham's got the ability to beat anyone with their bowling attack, given the wicket, given the day. Derbyshire are showing huge amounts of gumption week in, week out. The one team I feel like is going to drop off is Worcestershire. And their bowling is a worry for me, is where I'm going with this. And they're disappointed not to win. The wickets are being massively spread between the bowlers, Oliveira, Morris, Barnard, Joseph, all taking wickets. But they're conceding runs every single time they play to a high degree, which is negating a lot of the good work that the batsmen are doing. Now, I feel like they need one of their bowlers to really step up and take the lead and be the guy that gets, your fifers and stuff like that. I feel that's the thing that's missing for them.
Joe Leach is the captain, isn't he? So he is the leader of that attack, if you like. He's the leader of everything. But Alzari Joseph, the overseas West Indian quick, he's the man that they will be expecting to step up and lead that attack for the remainder of his stay. So he's got the talent, he's got the pace. He just needs to, it's learning, isn't it? He's still a young fella. He's learning how to bowl in the English conditions. You would hope, if you're Worcester, that he will be able to do that. It is a tough one. It's a tough group. I think Notts as well. That last day is crucial. I don't want to focus on them any more than we have to, but that last day was absolutely crucial. I think if they'd have been skittled, it would have crumbled into a horrific red ball season. But they have got every chance.
Yeah,
it's a bit like a football team, isn't it? Losing 2-0 and equalising, having an awful game, but scoring a couple late and equalising, and you feel like you've got out of it, and you feel like you've won the game, even though you've only got a draw. The team that was 2-0 up and looked great for 85 minutes now feels like they've lost the game and it was all pointless. How you react in those situations, and Notts have really dug themselves out. We could look back on that day, in the end of the season as the key day for Notts as they go forward.
There's 11 points between second and sixth, mate. So it's wide open still, 3 games down.
Yep, absolutely. So let's move into Group 2 then. Hampshire, Gloucestershire, a drawn match here. Excellent first couple of rounds for Gloucestershire. But Hampshire as well, they'd won the first 2 games, hadn't they? But Gloucestershire had to rely on a 108-ball 10th wicket stand from Josh Shaw and Dominic Goodman to secure the draw after Hampshire were well on top from the start of this game. First innings, 470, Hampshire. Just got to quickly mention Tom Alsop, 149. But Ian Holland, someone we mentioned last week, the 30-year-old, Cricket's Got Talent or whatever it was, Australian. He got 114 as well. Recently arrived Dan Worrell, Australian. He got 4 wickets for Gloucestershire. For Gloucestershire. So I lost my way there. That's the reason why Graham Van Buren was not playing, obviously, because Worrell and Braithwaite were both playing for Gloucestershire. Another good performance from Ryan Higgins, the all-rounder that has also been brought into the conversation for England. Decent bat, steady bowler, probably doesn't bowl quick enough for what England would want, mid-70s, but a very accurate player, and he keeps taking wickets. The big surprise in this game for me, Rob, after 4 wickets for 41 in Gloucestershire's first innings from Mohammed Abbas, he was wicketless in the final innings. Obviously, only 9 wickets were taken. They were following on, just a drawn game, probably a fair result for how these two teams have started the season.
Yeah, 2 decent teams. My honest opinion is Hampshire's probably the standout team in the whole of county cricket at the moment. Their batting is just firing all ends up. In Holland, 335 runs, Alsop 287, Dawson 250, Vince 290, Northeast 220. They're averaging 422 an innings for 7.
Steady.
They've declared twice out of the 4 innings that they've batted in, and they're pretty much only having to bat once most games, and that's in April in England. So that's an outstanding performance from them. I watched a bit of Alsop and Holland batting on one of the days, and they just didn't look like getting out. They're just controlled. They know the game inside out. And they sucked up a huge amount of time in that partnership and really killed a lot of the momentum and the game against Gloucestershire, who really didn't seem to have an answer for it. But if I'm Gloucestershire, I'm going, we've just drawn against the informed team that's going around. We were pretty good in periods. Our batting was good, getting 320 against a bowling attack of Abbas and Kyle Abbott, and we managed 197 for 9 in batted 97 overs on day 4. So they've done enough to say, hey, we're doing pretty good with ourselves. Ryan Higgins, 17 wickets on the season, looking really good. But at the moment, I can't see past Hampshire as the best team in the country.
Yeah, fair enough. There certainly was an argument to that, most definitely. Yeah, like we said, James Vince, he got himself 52, so he keeps churning the runs out. Has he finished his desire for playing for England? Who knows? He's still there or thereabouts, isn't he? If England chose to go back to that well. Continuing the England watch, Mason Crane got 3 for 70 and 1 for 45, the young spinner. Gloucestershire, Chris Dent, the opener, he's had a bit of a tough day, 6 and 10 for him. And James Bracey, the wicketkeeper batsman who bats at 3 for Gloucestershire, he got himself 65 but 9. It'll be interesting to see who they go with Johnny Bairstow and Josh Butler both away. So Folkes and Bracey are probably the 2 options, with Folkes probably just holding the lead for now. Surrey, Middlesex, the London. Who could win? Who could have the pride of London?
London Derby.
London Derby. It doesn't sound right between Surrey and Middlesex, does it?
No.
It's like a West Ham Millwall. No, sorry, Middlesex. So the start of the final day began with Rory Burns nicking off Ethan Bamber. I believe they're calling him Mini Mertz, Ethan Bamber. And it got worse from that moment. So ending with a rapid knocking off of the 4th innings target of 17 in just 15 balls for Middlesex. A solid first win for Middlesex, I'd say. Year-delayed Australian overseas player and skipper Peter Hanscom finally arrived. Easy game captain in county cricket, isn't it? You just rock up and get a 10-wicket win. He did get himself, was it a 3rd ball duck or something? So batting wasn't probably the best thing, but I'm sure he was quite happy stood at slip and then just sitting on the boundary, sitting on in the boundary, make it sound like a club ground, sitting at HQ balcony. So winless Surrey will be desperate to come back strong in round 4. A strange game here. It just got lower and lower. I mean, 154 to start the game, is not what you want, is it? Tim Murtagh, 4 wickets, Toby Rowland-Jones, 3. Rowland-Jones got 4 wickets in the second innings as well. Burns got himself 54 in the second. Again, he's another one of those. Is he doing enough? Is he getting enough runs? No. He'll want to score more runs, the same as what we spoke about with Dom Sibley, especially when you've got the Haseeb Hameeds of this world, hopefully starting to churn a few more out. So, pick the bones out of this one, Rob.
I think the Surrey team, we talk about Hampshire being the best team. The Surrey team, to me, is largely the most disappointing thing about the English county season so far.
How? When we went through the review, how is this squad of players not performing?
It's hard to put a finger on it, but we'll try. But there's 2 losses and a draw so far. the biggest failing they've got is runs. And you can't see past Burns and Stoneman, ex-England, Amler, Pope, who got a big 200, Folks, who's probably been their most consistent batter, scoring 2 or 3 50s, all England players. Plus, you've got Ricky Clark, Kemar Roach, Verdi, and they're all just failing to deliver time and time again with the bat. And it's got to be the bat is the biggest problem for them at the moment. And it's not like they're being blasted away by pace. What you're getting is Tim Murtagh turning up, bowling mid-70s, taking 4 wickets. You've got Mini Bamba, Mini Murtagh, whatever we want to call him, who was actually England's joint leading wicket taker in the 2018 Under-19 World Cup. Just saying.
On the way.
In New Zealand. It's... I don't want to use the word deeply disappointing because it's so judgmental and it hurts people's feelings, but I'm deeply disappointed because I go onto the streams and I'm like, oh, what am I going to watch? Oh, well, Surrey's batting. Let's watch that. That would be great. Not if you want to watch batting.
Sorry, Rob's not angry. He's just disappointed in you.
I'm just disappointed, mate.
Go and think about what you've done.
I think the other thing to touch on, Rich, is the Reese Topley resurgence. Playing red ball, and he's got through 62 overs of work this season playing red ball cricket, and that's a big achievement. Absolutely, that's the thing, isn't it? He's getting the miles under his belt, under his feet, under his studs. I have no idea where I was going with that phrase. Mixing metaphors. He's looking good. 10 wickets, 18.7. The strike rate is what impresses me as well. 37.2, which is, apart from Ollie Robinson, it's the best out of the highest performing England qualifying players, if that makes sense. He's looking good, and that's what we want to see. I would have been really disappointed to have seen him gone over to the IPL, and apparently there was real interest from Chennai Super Kings as well as another team to bring him in as a replacement. But thankfully, after the shambles of a couple of summers ago, where we had really, really late replacements leaving county game to go to the IPL, there was a deadline, I believe, set up for the end of February or something. So he missed out. He's apparently disappointed with that. But I'd suggest that if he's got any sort of interest in playing red ball cricket for England, which I've no idea if he has, but if he's playing red ball for Surrey, then surely he does have interest in that. So I'm trying to get understand that. But yeah, I mean, money. There's plenty of it in IPL, and I'm sure he would have liked to have had a go in there because he is predominantly a white ball player these days, isn't he? But he's playing well. He started the summer well. Can it continue? If Surrey aren't going to score runs, then they certainly need a big unit like Reese Topley coming in and knocking some fools over. Yeah, no, good for him. Good to see him back, mate. One more to touch on Group 2, Leicestershire, Somerset.
Okay, so you don't want to know. So you don't want to know that Ben Folkes only got 11, Rory Burns only got 8 alongside his half century, and Ollie Pope only got 22, and Amar Verdi only bowled 8 overs for no wickets and 8 runs on the England watch. I'm
going to do it. It's going to fall under that deeply disappointing.
Not a good day on England watch for Surrey.
Performance. Yeah, it is a little bit of a bad day. England watch hasn't been good so far. No one on England watch is doing well.
It's not great, is it? It's not great. We have to remove them from England watch, and then they do well. And that's exactly what has happened with Leicestershire and Somerset, with Somerset getting a very convincing 9-wicket win. Massive performance with the ball from Craig Overton. 8 wickets in the game for him, set up a target of 115, in which Tom Lammonby, go on, son, found his form and hit 70 not out of 80 balls to confirm this convincing 9-wicket win for Somerset. So they bounced back after the round 2 defeat at the hands of Gloucestershire. Leicestershire, the arrival of Marcus Harris was not enough for them. A really convincing win for Somerset. Tom Lammonby, 70 not out. Delighted for him, knocking off that 118 in just 26.5 overs. Sorry, knocking off 115. Interesting game, really. The most important part I've picked out of it is we had the return of the night watchman, Jack Leach. He got 26 off 88 at 5, batting at 5 in the first innings. I think we're ready for Test match cricket, Rob. Jack Leach certainly is.
Top 6.
Top 6. Well, I mean, you can bat him at 11 on paper, but really what you want is night watchman.
The problem is we keep going back to this who replaces Ben Stokes conversation, and if you need someone to bat at 5, Jack Leach, you've got it, mate. You're right. One of the big takeaways here is the Tom Lammonby run scoring ability after. I think last podcast I talked about seeing his dismissals, really getting squared up, struggling outside off. And then first innings here, I just shook my head. He got one that came back in and it was LBW leaving it. I'm like, I just watched it and I was like, this guy's in he's really struggling. He can't lay balance. It's not making clear-cut decisions, and I haven't seen his runs from the second innings here yet. It's on the to-watch list, but so good. As soon as you see someone score a fast 70, you know he's probably gone out there and thought, I just need to back myself, man. I just need to go out there, put bat on ball, back my ability to score runs like I was last year before I started getting out of form, and hit my way into form. There you go. Cricket saying, hit your way into form.
Absolutely. The confidence that will come from that, a match winning, being there at the end of a game when you've won a game of cricket, that's the confidence. It doesn't matter if you've scored 70 or 15. If you're there at the end of the game and you've won that and got it over the line, it's a great feeling. So that's great to see for him. Overton, fantastic performance from him. He got 24 with the bat, but he's also got himself a 5 for 25, which is his best return, I believe, since around 2015. 3 wickets in the game for Jack Leach, if I'm not mistaken. No, actually 5 wickets in the game for Jack Leach, a 3 for 43 and a 2 for 23. And bits and bobs. Hassan Azad is somebody that scored some runs. He got 36 and a duck. That's not going to do it for him if there is any hopes for getting in that first test, or at least putting pressure on the current England openers. So, yeah, Overton. I don't know what you think about him, but 17 wickets at 200 with 271 runs, so at 15.94 with economy of 2.5 and a strike rate of 38 off 108 overs. He is most definitely going to find himself in the squad for the New Zealand Test Series if he carries on going the way he's going.
Yeah, can't look past him, mate. He's good enough. He's the right man for the right conditions. I think we spoke about before. He's not the sort of guy I'd want to see go tour Australia. I just feel like he's the wrong type of guy that might get on the back end of some flat pitches.
Flat track bullies.
Flat track bullies might take control of him. David Warner might enjoy it if he's still there after Stuart Broad's got him LBW. I don't know, or nicked off, one of the two. So interesting name. He is going to be around that conversation, and you can almost guarantee someone goes down injured, there will be an Overton around discussions, or in a 12, 13-man squad this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. You know how much England like to have that bowler that can bat at 8, 9. You know, they don't want a team, at 4-11s, do they? They're just never going to pick that team ever again. Since the Mullally days and Tufnell and that sort of
Evan Malcolm.
So, yeah, exactly. So the 11 starts at 8. So they want a player like Overton. Ollie Robinson, who we spoke about at length as well before, he can bat a little bit as well. So they give themselves extra chance of playing. We've been able to do it with the bat as well. Yeah, so let's just wrap up the group 2 at the moment. Hampshire sit top with a couple of wins and a draw on 58. Gloucester the same, but with 55 points. Somerset, they've lost the one game, 39 points, and Middlesex 30, and then winless for Surrey and Leicestershire at 22 and 19 points apiece. Group 3, or do you want to? Is there anything you want to look at that?
It's a little shake of the head. Your girlfriend, she'd sit there, she'd cross her arms, and she'd go. That's how I feel about Surrey.
Folding your arms, but it's amazing that Leicestershire are below them. Didn't you say that Leicestershire were going to do really well this year, or was that Derbyshire?
Both. And we've only won about 3, but. It is a difficult group, but I expected Leicestershire's batting to be slightly better than what it is. And also their bowling. It sounds stupid, but I expected them to make more inroads and score more runs. And at the moment, the guys that's been good for them previous seasons just aren't quite clicking. Where's Colin Ackerman? How many times have we mentioned his name in 3 weeks?
No, it's the Lewis Hill show at the moment. We've had a bit of Hassan Azad, isn't it? So,
yeah.
But let's move on to Group 3 anyway, because I just can't wait to start saying this name again. It's one of our favourite names in county cricket. So, Northamptonshire. This was a big scoring game, and I think Glamorgan are going to be very disappointed. Let's put it that way. So, Glamorgan, Northampton a 7-wicket win for them. Really impressive win. Huge 4th innings contribution from Rob Keogh. He got himself 126, and Ricardo Vasconcelos, who was unbeaten on 185 off 221 balls. He is a man on form. The Portuguese passport-wielding wicketkeeper batsman. He's making a big name for himself this summer. You'd think Glamorgan would have been really confident securing the win. They declared on 311 to set this really challenging total. I think it was the 3rd highest run chase in Northamptonshire's history or something like that. Wow. Rings a bell. But yeah, all 4 days of big scoring players. All the more remarkable, though, Rob, Northampton found themselves 76 for 5 in the first innings. after Glamorgan got put 407 on the ball. So you've really got to look to that middle order and lower order of players, Rossington, Gareth Berg, 69 not out, Wayne Parnell, 54, of putting them back in a position. So they only had a deficit of about 50-ish, 40-50. So huge time. And then it's the big boys at the end, isn't it? The Vasconcelos. I hope it's the right pronunciation.
You love it. I don't even care if it's wrong, mate.
I don't either.
Good. It's
but a hell of a result for Northamptonshire.
That's incredible. Like the Glamorgan declaration giving them 75 overs or something to go and try and knock off 360 is, well, you just back yourself. There's only 2 results on the table. We clean them up or it's a draw. So it's incredible. Vasconcelos, 185, 221 balls, mate. 4th innings of a game. April in England. I keep coming back to April in England, but it's April in England. 185, 4th innings is absolutely ridiculous. He's kind of like it's a strange one. So his first 10 games in first-class cricket, 2 centuries, 3 half-centuries in his first 10 games before kind of falling away a little bit and working his way into English cricket. And, he's young. He's 23 years old, I think. He's putting up huge numbers. Do we, at some stage during this season, have a discussion about a 4-year plan or whatever it is, the Kevin Peterson route to playing international cricket? With a name like that England scorecard would look absolutely amazing.
As long as he's got a middle name, I'm a big proponent of, a traditionalist. I want to see my initials in the scorecard, the M.A. Athertons of this world and the A.J. Stewarts, but... I'd really be interested to know. I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm really interested to know what his intentions are. It's not all about England. You just want a guy who's scoring the amount of runs he's scoring and playing and performing as well as he's doing. There has to be international cricket on the horizon for him. Now, where that is, I don't know at the moment, but it'd be certainly interesting to find out.
It definitely would, mate. And he does have a middle name. It's Surador.
Excellent. So RS Vasconcelos. That's good. He can play for England for me now. Now he's got a middle name. He's allowed to play for England.
Are you eligible? Yes. Do you have a middle name? Yes. Cool. Right. You're in the squad, mate.
Yeah. It's random annoyance here, but when I was a kid, Philip de Freitas used to annoy me because he had 3 initials and it just to knock the scorecard out a little bit.
What was his middle name? Wasn't it J?
I don't know what it was. It was PAJ.
PAJ.
Hadge de Freitas.
Yeah.
So everyone had 2 and then he had, and the ones that don't have any, it's like, get him in
hated like Curtly Ambrose and people like that. Was it CEL Ambrose?
Well, it's not as bad as WPUJC Vars, is it?
Rolls off the. Why does every cricket fan know like every initial of this random Sri Lankan?
Because there's a generation of cricket fans growing up now just thinking that everyone's just got first names. They don't appreciate the middle name. It's disgraceful, in my opinion. That's what's wrong with cricket.
That's the real issue. Let's get down.
That's the real issue.
It's not B words or C words. It's initials.
Exactly. Get angry about the real stuff. Right. Yorkshire, Sussex. Sussex home fixture, but Yorkshire won by 48 runs. Dom Bess has finally arrived in the 2021 cricket season, Rob. He's ripped apart the top order in the final innings to help bowl out Sussex to 186. I think 49 runs short of their 235 run target that was set up from runs from Gary Balance and County Championship leading run scorer Adam Lyve. No, Rob, I don't want him to play for England. Back-to-back wins for Yorkshire put them up to second in Group 3, and Sussex will be disappointed to lose this game, but it could prove to be a key result at the end of the group stage for Yorkshire. Have a little thing. I mean, Ollie Robinson for a start. I'm just going to say 5 wickets in the game for him for about 90 runs. He's looking good, obviously. He's doing what he needs to do. He's bowling good spells as well. He's taking good wickets. But Dom Bess, 6 for 53, to follow up a 1 wicket in the first innings. He was wicketless in the first 2 games, and now he has 7 wickets. A timely return, especially in front of his Test captain, Joe Root.
Yeah. And where do you judge a spinner and his abilities to take wickets? It's in the 4th innings of a game.
Amen.
Can the spinner come into his own? You've really come into your own. Can he come into his own in the last innings of a game? The answer against a good Sussex team is yes. And you're right. Playing with Joe Root in front of Joe Root is only going to build Joe Root's confidence. Now he's got more authority in who potentially may make the squad, and create a connection between the two and get more on the same level about when to throw him the ball. What's he comfortable with? What fields does he need? What cover does he need? So I think it's, we spoke earlier in previous pods about it being a really good move for him. This is the first step of it really coming to fruition, and the redemption of Dom Bess taking Pfeiffer and winning the Test series against India.
Yeah. And he's bowling a lot of overs as well. He might not have got the wickets in the first two games, but he's bowling a lot, 29.5 overs in the second innings this game, following up 25 in the first innings. He's bowled 121.3 overs, I believe, around that, about 121 overs anyway this season. More than any of the other spinners that I would say that are up for England selection.
Yeah.
So Root is definitely trying to, you can read between the lines on this, can't you? He's trying to force not force it, but he's trying to encourage Dom Bess towards the Test selection.
How good's
it's
that?
Great.
How good's that?
Yeah,
good
for your confidence,
we've had
isn't
spinners not being bowled.
Yeah,
and now
absolutely.
It's like, we're going to bowl you in April, mate. Get on with it.
Yeah, talking of spinners bowling, Sussex, Jack Carson, 20-year-old Irish off spinner, 5 for 85. He took 39.4 overs in the innings in Yorkshire's second innings. So he helped bowl, Sussex to a target, which disappointingly they couldn't get near, could they? Just quickly touching on that, Tom Haynes got 86 in Sussex first innings. He fell short on 37 in the second innings. Ben Browne 46, but they just couldn't get a traction in that second innings, could they? And Dom Bess obviously was the man to spin Yorkshire to victory. Really disappointing, I think, for Sussex. This result.
You're dropping the D bombs in there.
Disappointed.
It is disappointing. They would have fancied themselves getting something out of that, chasing 235. 235, day 4, English conditions. I think the better team wins that game every single time. Like, if you're a good team, you win that game. If the other team's a better team, they're going to win that game. And they did. Yorkshire were the better team over 4 days. They deserved to take the points. And that 305 for 10 off 103 overs is that second half of the game. That's where they won it. Sussex might have won a day and a half's worth of cricket in the first 2 days, but that doesn't mean anything when it comes to the points table.
Absolutely. And it shows the importance of balance and live as well, 74 and 66 respectively in that second innings. It sets up that challenging target. If you can shave off 50 runs off there, you're suddenly chasing about 180. It's a different game perhaps, isn't it? They finished 186. So, it's all like those small moments in cricket, as we all know. So let's wrap this up anyway. Lancashire, Kent at home, and Lancashire won by an innings and 5 runs. We spoke about Dom Bess. This is what we want to talk about. Matt Parkinson piled on the pressure. Dom will be a little bit disappointed, I think. I'm sure he'll be delighted to see Matt Parkinson score runs, but as well, he'll be a little bit like, 9 wicket performance, Rob, for the young leggy. Lancashire's got their second win out of 3. The first innings of 525 for Lancashire. Numbers 8 and 9, Danny Lamb and Luke Wood both recorded the first centuries for Lancashire. Maiden first class 100 for Lamb and just the second for Luke Wood. That's what you want to see, isn't it? When you see 525 for 10, you assume that a couple of top order batsmen has gone big. But it was 8 and 9 that did it for Lancashire. So an incredible performance for them. Daniel Bell Drummond. Yay. He's not on England watch anymore. I'm sorry. I used to probably be his biggest fan. He got 114. It's great to see. And young Jordan Cox got 80. Did some impressive things last season. But Matt Parkinson, 7 for 126, a 52 over bowl in the second innings to wrap the game up for Lancashire.
Serious. Fair play, Lancashire. We spoke at the start of the season about the depth that they've got and the ability to back down the order, and it's exactly what they've done here. I went on one of the live streams about 1 a.m. one day, and I was watching Villas. I think he got 50 odd in this game, and they were 5 down for maybe 170, 180 or something along those lines. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's this sort of game. This is the sort of team Lancashire are, but they will just grow in confidence. And you know what it's like. If you've got the lower order doing exceptional things like Danny Lamb and Luke Wood have done, the freedom it can give your top order, and it doesn't mean that it's always going to be a good thing. Freedom can be either good or bad. People will play with freedom, but sometimes people can be reckless with it. If Lancashire can bottle that and work out how they can express themselves in a good way, knowing that there's runs coming down the order, a bit like, Australia are always aggressive, but their bottom last 4 wickets always go for 150. Like, they always cause you problems. And Lancashire could put themselves in that same position. And Matt Parkinson, ball of the century, mate, last week. Incredible delivery. The hunt
7 wickets.
Yeah, the hunt for the English spinner for the start of the season. You've got Parkinson. I'm going to call Danny Briggs into the conversation on a little bit of left field. I'm guessing a little bit there. Don Best. You've got Moeen Ali playing white ball cricket. So probably Moeen Ali gets it. Jack Leach, obviously.
Don't forget Jack. Jack's kind of hiding in the background at the moment, but he probably is the number one spinner, isn't he?
He is.
But Bess, Parkinson, and then Critchley in the conversation as well. Don't think Verdi's done enough so far. Don't think Mason Crane's done enough. They've got 10 wickets for Crane and 7 for Verdi so far this summer.
Does it feel there's a lot of leg spinners around?
It's getting that way, isn't it? I mean, Critchley's a leggy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously Parkinson as well. Yeah. It's Crane leg spinner.
Yes.
God, there are a lot then.
There are a lot.
It's like we're learning at the same time.
Ian Salisbury was the only one for years.
Is he still around?
No, he's coaching.
One bad ball and over Salisbury. I used to enjoy those days.
I definitely did not. But that'll wrap up Group 3, mate.
It will, but again, England watch, Robert. You keep forgetting England watch. Zach Crawley, 60 and 36 for the game. Just people need to know these things. These are the guys that they want to talk about because Zach Crawley should be in that top 3 for England when we kick off things against New Zealand. So the table, Rob. Lancashire, top of the table. Happy boy, I'm sure. You've got a soft spot for Lancashire, haven't you? So they're top of the table. Win 1-2, drawn 1. Yorkshire same, but they're on 53 points. Sussex 42, 1 in each column, like Northampton, who also have 40 points, and Glamorgan and Kent winless so far, 2 losses and a draw, respectively 25 and 21 points.
Feels there's a bit of a gulf between those top 3 teams in this division. Lancashire, Yorkshire, and Sussex, I feel, is going to become a 3-horse race.
Northants, what after they just did?
Yeah, I just feel it will be. I feel Lancashire and Yorkshire are too strong. But again, Joe Root scored 100 for Yorkshire. He's not going to be playing many more games. That's where the rubber's going to hit the road for teams that's got those guys who are in that England squad for the start of the season. But poor Glamorgan and Kent have got a bit of soul searching to do over the next week before the next round of games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned Root has scored 100 for Yorkshire, but in this last game, he got 5 and 5. So, is the question mark to the number 4 spot now, Rob? No, there isn't. Don't be so ridiculous. Tune in next week to find out how many runs Joe Root has scored.
One thing that we haven't had a conversation, we keep talking about England players. Mm-hmm. Are we all in agreement that Johnny Bairstow doesn't make the England team for the start of the summer?
Well, he won't because he's in the IPL. I think that's the first thing, unless he decides to come back. I want us to have a good chat about this England test setup and the squad. Johnny Bairstow is a great conversation to have because I've been looking at his stats and, he, without giving too much away, with the gloves, he's a much better player.
Yes.
Than without, when you look at his batting stats.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one.
Podcast for another day, isn't it?
Podcast for another day, yeah. I want to have a bit of a deep dive, a digging deep, anything deep about that test side. Potential players, who we think might make it, who we think won't. We want to find out when that squad's going to be announced because I want to get ahead of that. So our predictions can be laughed at when they pick the squad.
Oh, I love it, mate. And you guys watching as well, you comment below if you're watching us on YouTube. Make sure you let us know who you think are the standout players and the ones that's on England Watch that we might not be missing and who you think is going to be around that squad first time that it's going to come around. It's always exciting kind of getting near that first England game of the season. And it's going to be a cracking summer, Rich.
It's shaping up to be one heck of a summer, isn't it? So it's I didn't expect it to be looking as good as it is at the moment. Although saying that, I've got my first league game of the season coming up on Saturday, and the forecast the rest of the week includes rain.
Oh, I love it! I love it when we get back to
season's here
because I don't have to make up random intros. We can just talk about how you've got on and whether you got banned this week.
Once in my career,
this one time at cricket club.
Yeah. I think I've hit that point there, Rob. I think the time has come where I will be playing second team cricket this season. The time has come. The drop down has begun. No more bowling, dodgy knees. It has begun.
Middle order, knock a few runs around.
I'm going to be the wily veteran. So.
Oh, good on you, mate. Well, thank you so much for your time, Rich. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you've enjoyed it, leave a big thumbs up, subscribe wherever you're listening to this, whether it's Spotify, SoundCloud, or in the bathroom while you are taking a shower. Thank you very much, guys.
Shower.
Until next time.